Many people believe a woman who lives alone is missing something, but they do not understand the strength that can be built in solitude. A woman who learns to stand by herself discovers a level of awareness, confidence, and inner stability that no external person can give her. Today, we will explore the truth about women who choose to live alone without a man, and the deeper wisdom behind their independence, their strength, and their path of self-mastery. 1. The difference between being alone and being incomplete. There is a belief that many people carry quietly inside their minds. A belief that says if someone is alone, something must be missing. If a woman lives alone without a partner, without a man beside her, many people immediately create a story about her life. They think, maybe she is lonely. Maybe she could not find someone. Maybe she is waiting for someone to complete her. But the question we must ask ourselves is, who created this idea that another person must complete us? Where did we learn that our value depends on whether someone chooses to stand beside us? A human being is not born incomplete. A human being is born with the ability to discover, to grow, to learn, and to develop an inner foundation. Before anyone enters your life, before anyone loves you, before anyone supports you, there is already a person inside you who has been walking with you through every difficult moment. That person is you. When a woman chooses to live alone, many people only see the outside. They see an empty chair at the dinner table. They see a quiet home. They see a person walking through life without a partner. But they do not always see what is happening inside. They do not see the discipline it takes to build a peaceful relationship with yourself. They do not see the courage it takes to face your own thoughts without constantly searching for someone to distract you. They do not see the strength that develops when you learn. I can stand on my own feet. This does not mean that relationships are unnecessary. This does not mean that love is not valuable. Human connection is one of the most beautiful parts of life. But there is a difference between sharing your life with someone and needing someone because you are afraid to face yourself. One comes from strength, the other comes from fear. Imagine a tree. A strong tree does not become strong because another tree is holding it up. A strong tree becomes strong because its roots grow deep into the earth. The storms come. The winds become powerful. The seasons change, but the tree remains standing because its foundation is within itself. A person is the same. If your inner roots are weak, you will always search for someone to hold you up. You will always fear losing someone. You will always feel incomplete when someone walks away. But when your inner foundation becomes strong, love becomes a choice, not a survival need. Companionship becomes something beautiful, not something you desperately chase. A woman who lives alone has an opportunity that many people avoid, the opportunity to meet herself. Because when there is no one else around to constantly influence your decisions, you begin to hear your own voice. You begin to understand your own emotions. You begin to recognize your own patterns. You begin to ask deeper questions. What truly makes me happy? What kind of life do I want to create? What values do I want to live by? What kind of person am I becoming? These questions are powerful because they bring a person back to themselves. Many people spend their entire lives trying to understand others, trying to please others, trying to become what others expect them to be. But they never spend enough time sitting quietly with themselves. They never learn who they truly are. Solitude can reveal things that noise hides. When everything becomes quiet, you begin to notice your own mind. You notice your fears, you notice your desires, You notice the places where you still need growth, and this process can feel uncomfortable. Because knowing yourself requires honesty. It requires looking at yourself without pretending. It requires accepting both your strengths and your weaknesses. But this is where real growth begins. Not when you are constantly surrounded by people, but when you can sit with yourself and still feel at peace. A woman who lives alone is not automatically stronger than someone who does not. Living alone by itself does not create wisdom. A person can live alone and still run away from themselves. A person can live alone and still depend emotionally on others. The true transformation happens when solitude becomes a place of awareness. When being alone is no longer seen as a punishment, but as a space for development. A place where a person learns, I do not need another person to prove my worth. I do not need constant approval to know I matter. I do not need someone beside me to know I am whole. This understanding changes everything. Because when you stop searching for someone to complete you, you begin to attract relationships from a different place. You no longer choose someone because you are afraid of being alone. You choose someone because you genuinely appreciate who they are. You do not hold on to someone because you fear losing them. You walk beside them because both people are choosing the same direction. This is a much healthier form of connection. Two complete individuals sharing life together, not two incomplete people trying to repair each other. Many people misunderstand independence. They think independence means I do not need anyone. But true independence is not about rejecting people. True independence means I can love people deeply without losing myself. I can receive support without becoming powerless. I can enjoy companionship without becoming dependent. This is maturity, because a person who knows themselves can enter a relationship with an open heart, not with an empty heart waiting to be filled. So when you see a woman living alone, do not immediately assume there is sadness. Do not immediately assume there is a problem. There may be a person who is learning one of the greatest lessons in life, how to become comfortable with their own presence. Because the relationship you have with yourself becomes the foundation for every other relationship you will ever create. If you cannot sit peacefully with yourself, how can you expect peace with another person? If you cannot respect yourself, how can you truly understand respect from another? If you cannot trust yourself, how can you build trust with someone else? The journey of independence begins with a simple realization. Being alone is a situation. Being incomplete is a belief. And these two things are not the same. Because sometimes the person who stands alone is not the person who has lost something. Sometimes the person who stands alone is the person who has finally found something. The deepest connection begins when you no longer need someone to complete you. 2. Why some women discover their greatest strength through solitude. There is something powerful about a person who has learned how to walk through life with their own inner strength. Not because they reject others, not because they believe they do not need love, but because they have discovered something many people spend years searching for, a stable relationship with themselves. Solitude has a unique way of revealing human strength. When life becomes quiet, there are fewer places to hide. You cannot always run towards someone else when you feel uncertain. You cannot always ask another person to make decisions for you. You cannot always depend on someone else to give you confidence. At some point, you must meet yourself. And this meeting can become the beginning of transformation. For many women who live alone, there is a period of adjustment. In the beginning, the silence may feel unfamiliar. The empty space may feel uncomfortable. There may be moments when they question themselves. Am I doing the right thing? Will I always be alone? Should I have chosen a different path? These thoughts are natural. The human mind often fears what it does not know. But if a person stays present with these feelings, something begins to change. The silence that once felt empty begins to feel peaceful. The time that once felt lonely begins to feel valuable. The space that once felt uncomfortable becomes a place of growth. This is where strength is built, not through avoiding difficult emotions, but through learning how to face them. A person becomes stronger when they realize, I can feel sadness and still continue. I can experience uncertainty and still move forward. I can face challenges without losing myself. This is emotional strength, and it is developed through experience. Many people spend their lives trying to avoid being alone because they believe solitude will expose their weakness. But solitude does not create weakness. Solitude reveals what is already there. If there is fear inside, you become aware of the fear. If there is insecurity inside, you become aware of the insecurity. If there are unresolved wounds, you become aware of them. And awareness is the first step toward healing and growth. You cannot transform what you refuse to see. A woman who lives alone often learns practical strength as well. She learns how to manage her own responsibilities. She learns how to make decisions. She learns how to solve problems. She learns how to create a life based on her own values. Every small challenge becomes training. Every decision becomes an opportunity to build confidence, like a martial artist strengthening the body through repeated practice. A person strengthens the mind through repeated moments of self-reliance. Confidence is not something someone gives you confidence. It's something you build through evidence. Every time you handle something difficult, you create proof within yourself. I survived that. I solved that. I learned from that. I became better because of that. Over time, these experiences create a quiet confidence, not the kind of confidence that needs attention, not the kind that needs to prove itself, but the calm confidence of someone who knows, I can handle life. This kind of strength changes how a person approaches relationships. A woman who is afraid of being alone may accept things that hurt her because she believes having someone is better than having no one. But a woman who has built peace within herself can make different choices. She can say, this relationship brings growth into my life. This connection brings respect. This person walks beside me instead of controlling my direction. Because she is not choosing from fear, she is choosing from awareness. There is a great difference between wanting someone and needing someone. Wanting comes from appreciation. Needing often comes from fear. When you want someone, you can love freely. When you need someone to remove your pain, you may lose yourself trying to keep them. This is why solitude can become a teacher. It teaches a person that their happiness cannot be placed completely in another person's hands. A woman who discovers her strength through solitude begins to understand her own worth. She stops asking, am I enough for someone else? And begins asking, am I living in alignment with who I truly want to become? This is a deeper question, because life is not only about finding the right person, life is also about becoming the right person, becoming someone who is aware, someone who is kind, someone who is disciplined, someone who has inner peace. When a person develops this inner stability, something beautiful happens. They no longer enter relationships looking for someone to save them. They enter relationships ready to share themselves. They do not bring an empty space asking another person to fill it. They bring a full heart ready to connect. The world often teaches people to fear solitude, but sometimes solitude is where the strongest parts of a person are created. A quiet room can become a place of reflection. A simple life can become a place of wisdom. A period of being alone can become the foundation for a deeper understanding of yourself. Because when you stop running from your own presence, you discover the strength that was waiting there all along. And the woman who learns to stand alone discovers the power that no one can take away. 3. The inner confidence built when a woman learns to rely on herself. There is a moment in every person's life, a moment when they realize that no one else can walk their entire path for them. People can support you, people can love you, people can encourage you, but there are certain battles that only you can face. There are certain decisions that only you can make. There are certain parts of yourself that only you can discover. And this realization is where true inner confidence begins. Many people think confidence comes from being admired. They think confidence comes from having someone choose them. They think confidence comes from hearing others say, "You are beautiful. You are successful. You are valuable." But these things are temporary, because if your confidence depends completely on outside approval, then your confidence can disappear whenever that approval disappears. A person who receives praise feels powerful, but when the praise stops, they begin questioning themselves. A person who receives attention feels important, but when the attention fades, they begin searching for something to fill the emptiness. This is why inner confidence is different. Inner confidence is not built by what others give you. It is built by what you discover within yourself. For a woman who lives alone, there are many opportunities to build this kind of strength. Every day becomes a chance to trust herself. Every decision becomes a chance to listen to her own wisdom. Every challenge becomes a chance to prove, "I am capable. I can handle this. I can find my way." Small moments create a strong foundation. Learning how to manage your own life, taking care of your own responsibilities, making choices without always needing someone else to confirm them. These simple actions may appear ordinary, but inside them, something powerful is happening. A person is building trust with themselves. Think about a child learning how to walk. At the beginning, the child falls many times. The child does not become strong because someone tells them, "You are strong." The child becomes strong because they experience falling and standing again, falling and standing again. Each attempt creates confidence. Life works the same way. Confidence does not come from avoiding challenges. Confidence comes from meeting challenges and discovering, "I can survive them." A woman who learns to rely on herself develops a different relationship with fear. Fear may still appear. Doubt may still appear. Uncertainty may still appear. But she no longer allows these feelings to control her. She learns, "I can feel afraid and still move forward. I can have questions and still make decisions. I can experience difficulty and still remain calm." This is a deep form of strength, not the absence of fear, but the ability to remain steady when fear appears. Many people misunderstand self-reliance. They think it means refusing help. They think it means saying, I do not need anyone. But this is not true strength. A strong person can accept help. A strong person can appreciate support. A strong person can receive love. The difference is, they do not lose themselves without it. They do not believe another person is the source of their value. They understand that support is a gift, not a requirement for their existence. When someone learns to rely on themselves, they begin to make choices from a place of peace. They stop asking, "Who will choose me?" And they begin asking, "Who deserves to walk beside me?" This is a completely different way of living, because when you do not know your own value, you may accept anyone who gives you attention. You may ignore warning signs. You may sacrifice your own needs because you fear losing someone. But when you know your worth, you become more careful with your energy. You become more aware of who enters your life. You understand that your peace is valuable. A woman with inner confidence does not need to prove she is strong. She does not need to announce her independence. She does not need to compete with anyone. Her strength is quiet. It is found in the way she handles difficulties. It is found in the way she respects herself. It is found in the way she continues growing even when nobody is watching. Like a mountain does not need to tell the world that it is high. It simply stands. There is a special kind of freedom that comes when a person stops depending on external validation. You become free from constantly asking, "Do they approve of me? Do they accept me? Do they think I am enough?" Instead, you begin living from your own center. You begin asking, "Am I acting according to my values? Am I becoming wiser? Am I becoming kinder? Am I becoming stronger?" These questions create a different life, because your attention moves away from pleasing the world and returns to developing yourself. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean closing your heart. A person with inner confidence can love deeply. Actually, they often love more deeply, because they are not loving from fear. They are not saying, "Please stay because I cannot be okay without you." They are saying, "I appreciate your presence, but I also respect myself." This is a healthier love, a love where two people meet as individuals, not as two people trying to rescue each other. Many women who live alone discover something important. Their own company can become a source of peace. They learn how to enjoy their own thoughts. They learn how to create meaningful routines. They learn how to find happiness in simple moments. A morning walk, a quiet meal, a personal goal, a moment of reflection. They discover that life does not always need to be filled with noise. Sometimes silence carries the deepest lessons. The world often teaches people to fear being alone. But a person who has learned to enjoy their own presence has gained something rare. They are no longer controlled by the fear of losing others. They can choose relationships because they want connection, not because they need someone to protect them from loneliness. This changes everything, because the person who can stand alone has the freedom to choose wisely. Inner confidence is not created overnight. It is built through thousands of small moments. The moment you keep a promise to yourself, the moment you complete something difficult, the moment you choose self-respect over temporary comfort, the moment you listen to your inner voice instead of the opinions around you. Each moment is like a drop of water filling a lake. Slowly, quietly, a deeper strength begins to appear. And one day, you look back and realize, I have been carrying myself all along. I have been stronger than I thought. I have been capable all along. This realization is powerful because nobody can take away a strength that you have built inside yourself. Money can disappear, people can leave, situations can change. But the confidence created through self-awareness and self-respect remains with you. A woman who learns to rely on herself does not become someone who needs nobody. She becomes someone who knows herself deeply enough to choose wisely. And when a person reaches that level of inner trust, the greatest challenge is no longer surviving alone. It is protecting the peace they worked so hard to create. Because the strongest person is not the one who needs no one, but the one who can love without losing themselves. 4. The hidden challenges of living without emotional dependence. There is a side of independence that many people do not talk about. They see the freedom. They see the confidence. They see the ability to make your own decisions. But they do not always see the inner work required to maintain that freedom. Because living alone is not only about having your own space, it is also about learning how to handle your own emotions. A person can live in a beautiful home, have a successful career, have many achievements, and still struggle with emotional dependence. Because emotional dependence is not about where you live. It is about where you place your inner stability. Do you place it inside yourself, or do you place it completely in another person? Many people unknowingly give another person the responsibility of managing their emotions. They believe, if this person loves me, I will feel valuable. If this person stays, I will feel safe. If this person approves of me, I will feel enough. But this creates a fragile foundation because another person's feelings can change, another person's choices can change, another person's path can change. And if your entire emotional world depends on someone else, then every change feels like losing yourself. For women living alone, one of the deepest lessons is learning how to sit with their own emotions, not running away, not immediately searching for distraction, not needing someone else to remove every uncomfortable feeling, but simply learning, I can experience this emotion. I can understand this emotion. I can move through this emotion. Emotions are like waves. A wave rises. A wave becomes powerful. A wave reaches its highest point. And then the wave comes down. But many people panic when the wave arrives. They think, this feeling will never end. This pain will always remain. This fear will always control me. But emotions are temporary visitors. They come and they leave. The wisdom is learning not to become the emotion. If sadness appears, you are not sadness. If fear appears, you are not fear. If loneliness appears, you are not loneliness. You are the person who is aware of these experiences. This small understanding creates space inside the mind. And inside that space, there is freedom. One of the challenges of living without emotional dependence is facing moments when you want comfort. There will be difficult evenings. There will be moments of uncertainty. There will be times when you wish someone was there beside you. This is human. This should not be rejected. The goal is not to become someone who never needs connection. The goal is to become someone who can experience a difficult moment without abandoning themselves. A person with emotional strength does not say, I never feel lonely. They say, When loneliness comes, I know how to care for myself. They create healthy ways to return to balance through reflection, through meaningful activities, through friendships, through personal growth, through remembering their own value. This is where many people misunderstand independence. They think independence means being completely separate from others, but humans are designed for connection. We need kindness, we need friendship, we need love. The wisdom is not removing connection. The wisdom is creating connection without losing your center. A woman who has developed emotional stability can enter a relationship differently. She does not enter saying, "Please fix my life." She enters saying, "I have built my life, and I would like to share it with you." This creates a healthier bond, because love becomes a meeting between two people who are growing, not a rescue mission between two people who are suffering. The hidden challenge of living alone is that it reveals where you still depend on outside approval. It reveals the parts of yourself that still need attention. And this is valuable, because every weakness that becomes visible is an opportunity for growth. The person who sees their weakness can transform it. The person who hides their weakness remains controlled by it. A quiet life can become a powerful teacher. It teaches patience. It teaches responsibility. It teaches emotional control. It teaches self-respect. And slowly, a person becomes someone who can face life with greater calmness. Not because life becomes easier, but because they become stronger. The deepest independence is not having nobody around you. The deepest independence is knowing that even when circumstances change, you remain connected to yourself. You remain grounded. You remain aware. You remain whole. And this is the hidden lesson of walking alone. Sometimes the greatest relationship you build is the one that teaches you how to stand before anyone else arrives, because when you no longer depend on someone to carry your emotions, you discover the strength to carry your own life. 5. Why true independence comes from inner stability, not isolation. There is a misunderstanding about independence. Many people think independence means standing completely away from others. They think being independent means saying, "I do not need anyone. I can do everything alone. I will never ask for help." But this is not true independence. This is a wall. And a wall is not the same as strength. A person can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. A person can live with someone and still feel disconnected. A person can have many relationships and still not feel understood. Because true connection does not come from simply having people around you. True connection begins with the relationship you have with yourself. When a woman chooses to live alone, one of the greatest lessons she can discover is this: your peace cannot depend completely on your circumstances. Your peace cannot depend completely on another person. Your peace must have roots inside you, because circumstances will always change. People will change. Seasons of life will change. But the person who has developed inner stability can move through these changes without losing themselves. Imagine a boat on the ocean. A boat without an anchor will move wherever the waves take it. When the water is calm, the boat feels safe. But when the storm arrives, the boat becomes controlled by the ocean. This is how many people live. When life is easy, they feel confident. When everything goes according to their wishes, they feel peaceful. But when something changes, when someone leaves, when they face uncertainty, their entire inner world becomes unstable. Why? Because their peace was attached to something outside of themselves. Inner stability is the anchor. It is the ability to remain centered even when life becomes uncertain. It does not mean you never feel sadness. It does not mean you never experience disappointment. It does not mean you never need support. It means that beneath all these experiences, there is still a place inside you that remains calm. A place that says, I will get through this. I will learn from this. I will not abandon myself. This is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop, because life will always test us. There will be moments when plans fail. There will be moments when relationships end. There will be moments when people misunderstand you. The question is not, how can I create a life where nothing difficult happens? This is impossible. The deeper question is, how can I become someone who can face difficulty with wisdom? A woman who develops inner stability does not build her identity around being someone's partner. She does not define herself only through her relationship status. She understands that being loved is beautiful, but being aware of herself is essential. She understands that having someone beside her can bring joy, but having herself is the foundation. This creates a different kind of confidence, a quiet confidence. A person who does not need to constantly prove anything. A person who does not need to show the world how strong they are. Because real strength does not need to make noise. A mountain does not announce that it is a mountain, it simply stands. Many people confuse emotional distance with emotional strength. They think, if I never open my heart, nobody can hurt me. But closing your heart is not freedom, it is protection. And protection is sometimes necessary. But if you live behind walls forever, you also block the love and connection you desire. True independence is not becoming unreachable. True independence is becoming stable enough to remain open. A person with inner stability can love deeply because they are not controlled by fear. They can say, I love you. But also, I respect myself. They can say, I appreciate your presence. But also, I know who I am without you. This is a powerful balance, because love becomes something shared, not something used to fill an empty space. Think about two candles. One candle does not need another candle to prove that it has light. When two candles stand together, they do not compete. They simply create more brightness. This is how healthy relationships work. Two people who have their own inner light come together and create something greater. But when one person has no inner light and depends completely on another person to shine for them, the relationship becomes heavy. It becomes pressure. It becomes fear. This is why solitude can be such a powerful teacher. It teaches a person to create their own light. It teaches them to find meaning in their own journey. It teaches them to become comfortable with their own presence. Because the person who enjoys their own company does not enter relationships from desperation. They enter from appreciation. There is a difference between saying, I choose you, and saying, I cannot survive without you. The first comes from love. The second comes from fear. When you choose someone from a place of inner stability, you create freedom for both people. You allow love to breathe. You allow each person to continue growing. A woman living alone may discover that her home becomes more than just a physical space. It becomes a place of self-connection, a place where she can think, a place where she can heal, a place where she can create, a place where she can hear her own thoughts without outside noise. And in this quiet, she may discover a strength she never knew existed. But remember, independence is not about rejecting human connection. A tree has strong roots, but it still needs sunlight. A river has its own path, but it is still connected to the world around it. Human beings are the same. We need ourselves, and we need others. The wisdom is knowing the difference between connection and dependence. When you are emotionally stable, you do not search for someone to complete your life. You search for someone who can walk beside the life you've already created. You do not look for a person to save you. You look for a person who respects your journey. You do not hold on to someone because you fear being alone. You stay because both of you choose growth. This is the true meaning of independence. Not standing against the world, but standing within yourself. Not pushing people away, but no longer losing yourself when people come close. Not becoming cold, but becoming centered. And when a person reaches this level of inner stability, something changes. They stop chasing approval. They stop begging for acceptance. They stop shrinking themselves to keep others comfortable. They begin living from their own truth. And this is where real freedom begins. Because the strongest foundation is not the person standing beside you, it is the peace you carry within you. 6. The wisdom of choosing relationships from wholeness, not need. There is a very important question every person should ask themselves before entering a relationship. Am I choosing this person from love or from fear? This question reveals a great deal, because sometimes people do not choose relationships because they truly connect with someone. Sometimes they choose relationships because they are afraid of being alone. They are afraid of silence. They are afraid of starting again. They are afraid that nobody else will come. And when fear becomes the reason we choose, we often ignore the things we should see. A person who does not feel whole inside may search for someone to complete them. They may believe, when I find the right person, I will finally be happy. When someone loves me, I will finally feel valuable. When someone chooses me, I will finally feel enough. But this creates a heavy responsibility for another person, because no human being can carry the entire weight of another person's happiness. No person can constantly prove your worth. No person can permanently remove your fears. That work belongs within yourself. A healthy relationship is not two people searching for someone to fix their emptiness. It is two people who have learned to care for themselves and now choose to share their journey. This is a very different kind of love. It is calmer, it is wiser, it has more freedom. When you are whole within yourself, you no longer see relationships as a rescue. You see them as a partnership. You no longer ask, what can this person give me so I feel complete? You begin asking, what can we create together? This shift changes the entire experience of love. A person who chooses from need often loses themselves. They may change their personality. They may hide their opinions. They may ignore their own needs. They may accept disrespect because they are afraid of losing the relationship. But a person who chooses from wholeness understands. Love should not require me to disappear. Love should allow me to become more myself. Respect is one of the greatest signs of a healthy relationship. Not only respect from the other person, but respect for yourself. Because when you respect yourself, you understand your own value. You understand your boundaries. You understand what kind of treatment aligns with your life. You no longer confuse suffering with love. You no longer believe that holding on to someone at any cost is the same as commitment. Sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when something is no longer healthy. Sometimes letting go is not failure. Sometimes letting go is wisdom. Because love should not destroy your inner peace. Love should not take away your identity. Love should not make you forget yourself. A woman who has learned to stand alone enters relationships with a different energy. She does not say, please choose me because I need you. She says, I choose you because I value you. There is strength in this. There is dignity in this. There is freedom in this. The most beautiful relationships are not created by two incomplete people searching for completion. They are created by two people who continue growing together. Two people who support each other. Two people who challenge each other. Two people who respect each other's individual path. Think about two travelers walking through a forest. They walk together, they share the journey, they help each other when the path becomes difficult, but each person still has their own feet. Each person still has their own awareness. Each person still carries their own responsibility. This is partnership. The wisdom of living alone is not that you should always remain alone. The wisdom is that you learn how to choose wisely. You learn that your value existed before someone arrived. You learn that your life has meaning before someone joins it. You learn that love is something beautiful to share, not something you need to survive. When you reach this understanding, relationships become lighter. There is less fear, less control, less attachment, more honesty, more respect, more freedom. Because both people are there by choice, not because they are afraid. A person who knows their own worth does not chase love. They cultivate themselves. They become someone capable of giving love. They become someone capable of receiving love. They become someone who can walk beside another person without losing their own direction. This is the deeper lesson. The goal is not to become someone who never needs connection. The goal is to become someone who can connect without abandoning themselves. Because the most beautiful relationship is not one where two people disappear into each other. It is one where two people remain fully themselves while walking the same path. A woman who lives alone is not waiting for someone to complete her. She is building a life where the right person can join her, not rescue her. And when you understand this, you understand a deeper truth about love, independence, and human connection. The person who knows they are already whole does not search for someone to complete them. They choose someone who can grow with them. Conclusion. Living alone is not a sign of emptiness. It can become a journey of self-discovery, strength, and inner peace. The greatest relationship you will ever build is the relationship you have with yourself, because every connection in your life grows from that foundation. If this message brought value to your life, take a moment to support this channel. Subscribe for more teachings on inner strength, awareness, discipline, and personal growth. And share this message with someone who may need to hear it. Because sometimes one moment of wisdom can change the direction of a person's life.